Buddhism Core Episode 7 Glory in Dharma. Today is July 24, 2020. This tape will talk about the Dharma from the beginning, in the midst of, and until the end of Buddhism. Start at the base of Dharma education first. At the beginning of our study, we must first grasp the principles of Dharma correctly. Don't be in a hurry to practice. Study to know beforehand that what does the Buddha teach? What the Buddha did not teach us to be born. This is the main teaching. The Buddha taught us to escape from the cycle of birth and death. When it is not born, there is no more suffering. The issue is just this. This is the heart of Buddhism. The Buddha had practiced for a long time. The Buddha did not teach us to make merit or let's just forgive each other only. The Buddha didn't teach us to keep the precepts or practice meditation only. These things, although there is no Buddhism, the human is already doing it. The Buddha had practiced for a long time to find a way to enlightenment, to nirvana, for bringing us to escape from this cycle of birth and death. The word nirvana is just a language for communication only. It is a word to make us know and understand that this release from the cycle of birth and death is called nirvana. Do not assume that nirvana is the personification or nirvana is the place and I am the one who goes there. This is a misunderstanding. In order to attain nirvana, we must quench our belief that there is an existence of ourself. Quenching our belief that this body is me, this body belongs to me. Quenching our belief that this mind is me, this mind belongs to me. Therefore, our existence will be completely extinguished. This is the way of nirvana. Therefore, the word nirvana does not mean that it's a place and there we go. This mind is nirvana. This is the end of suffering. But to reach here, we need to talk first. We need to understand that what is the nature of this mind actually? What does this mind have to cycle through birth and death? Where did our existence come from? This is the core of Buddhism. After the Buddha attained enlightenment, he traveled to teach humans to know this truth. Because when the humans know this truth, they will see the truth that this body is not me, this mind is not me. Here's a briefing at the outset. Now let's talk about the core of Buddhism. Lay the foundation first. The core of Buddhism is the mind. This mind is Dharma. Dharma is the mind. Whoever sees the Dharma, you will see the Buddha. This sentence means whoever is enlightened in the Dharma, that person will know who the real Buddha is. The mind is the Buddha. The mind is the Dharma. The mind is the monk. The mind is the Trinity, but we never found a sanctuary within the mind. We have always been looking for an outside sanctuary. When the eye sees the image, we will immediately think about what that image is. When the ear hears the sound, we will immediately think about what that sound is. When the nose hears a smell, we will immediately think about what that smell is. And when the tongue touches a taste, we will immediately think about what that flavor is. When the body feels a touch, we will immediately think about what that touch is. These 5 senses are the windows of the mind. When we hold on to these 5 senses, we will think the value of these 5 senses is good or bad, right or wrong, like or dislike. Conclusion thinking comes out to be you are okay or you are not okay with that sense. When you are okay or not okay, the mind will manufacture a symptom or a phenomenon in your heart, which is called the emotion. The emotion is such as happy, sad, angry, so, etc. And then you think you are the owner of these emotions without you realizing it, because you think these emotions, happy or angry, are really yours. So you think you are really happy or you are really angry to follow with these emotions in your heart. This misunderstanding is called Avidsha. Avidsha is the stupid mind. The stupid mind always travels outside the mind by the 5 senses to seek external Dharma and to seek outside sanctuary, because the stupid mind has no Dharma wisdom. When the mind has been taught by all knowledgeable people, there is a Buddha who is the first teacher, then the mind will see this truth. When the mind sees the truth, the mind will begin to let go, begin to shake off, begin to return to the original nature, which is awakening within the mind. Begin to enter the person who will not be born again. This is the way to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Therefore, you must listen from heart to heart, and you have to listen to Dharma about wisdom a lot. You have a strong desire to be dedicated to a body and a life for Dharma learning. That doesn't mean you have to throw your life away. It means to really concentrate on Dharma learning, not just curious according to the world, such as there is a group of people who wear white clothes and go to the temples to keep the precepts and practice meditation. When you see them, you want to keep the precepts, meditate and practice like them. This is called flowing with society, which means you are flowing with the humans in the world. Whatever the humans in the world do, you are so excited and you do follow them. That is, you don't really want, you don't really mean to, you don't really want to reach nirvana. That's why you cannot be enlightened. You cannot see the truth in the Dharma. You can only be a person who knows the surface of Buddhism only. The surface of Buddhism is not the true religion. The surface of Buddhism, or even the pure of Buddhism, is about doing good and stopping doing badly. In order for us to be born again, that means you will have been reborn into a happy world. A sorrowful world would be less to be born. This doing good is called merit. Merit causes us to have good health. Merit is the reason for our longevity. Merit is the cause of why we are happy at work, happy in the family, and happy in life. This is the result of doing good and stopping doing badly. But it's still just a surface. It is only a surface of Buddhism. That is, it is also a cause for us to still cycle through birth and death. Even though we make a marriage or lot, or we keep the precepts all the time, although we donate our money to a charity a lot, or we meditate all the time, we still must be born and must die as the same. This is not the true Daseer of the Buddha. The Buddha had only one wish. Wish is for us to know according to the Dharma that the Buddha had already known. We will be freed from the cycle of birth and death. It is not related to doing good and stopping doing badly. Doing good and stopping doing badly is a principle in order to live happily in samsara. To live happily in this world, to live happily in our society, and we do not quarrel with each other. To not be born is to know the truth that is both the concrete and the abstract. All of them do not actually exist. Both the concrete and the abstract are anatta. Anatta is non-existence. I will explain later in this section. Let's go back and talk about the mind first. We don't talk about the body or the outside of the body, because this body is the element of the world. It is an elemental material created by the world. In the end, this body had to be returned to the world, but the mind never dies and the mind never being born. This is the core of Buddhism. The word mind here means a natural knower. The mind, which is a natural knower, never dies, never being born. Birth and death are only thinking. It's just an idea that we call Citta Sankhan that creates the stories of birth and death. Let's go back and talk about the mind. The mind is divided into two types. Listen and don't assume that there are really two types of mind, because what I said in the Dharma is just borrowing a hypothetical language to speak for us to understand. The true Dharma cannot speak. The true Dharma is beyond the hypothetical language. The true Dharma is called Vimut. Vimut means liberty that is beyond thinking. Vimut is beyond a language, because a language is made from thinking. Thinking or a language is just a tool that is used in samsara, used in this world only. In nature, that is called Vimut. It doesn't have any ideas. It doesn't have any emotions. It is nature that is free from all manipulations. Vimut is nirvana. Vimut is arahant. Vimut is sunyata. Vimut is a Dharma element. Vimut can be called by many names depending on the enlightened teacher's call, which is the same meaning that it is beyond the thinking, beyond language, and beyond all manipulations. Speaking in Bali, it is Vimut. Vimut is the liberation from all assumptions and manipulations in the mind. This is the goal that we must reach, which is our mind. We already have this nature. We do not need to create this nature. We must wake up from our thinking. We are losing in the world of thinking that makes all the story by using the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. We are using them to sense forms, sounds, smells, tastes, and touches. And all sense become many ideas and many emotions that arise in the mind. They are all manipulations. The Buddha said in Pali that Sapphe sankhara anicca, sapphe dhamma anattati. All sankharas are impermanent. There is change and fluctuation all the time. Our dharmas do not really exist. It's just natural working. No one owns. It's just something that's been known. It is just natural that there are causes and factors to occur itself. There is such a thing as that of itself. This is citta sankhara. Citta sankhara is the nature that exists coupled with a mind. The word a mind here means a natural knower. This nature has only one duty, to know. Knowing by no meaning, knowing by no description, knowing by no one knows. It is a nature and it exists at all times with every soul. Every soul, from the beast of the hell to the Lord Buddha, that is this nature. A natural knower is nirvana. A natural knower is the Arahant. A natural knower is the Dharma element. A natural knower is beyond thinking that cannot be explained. A natural knower is not dark, not bright, not wide, not long, not high, not low. It's not emptiness as we understand it. Dharma language is called, it is absolutely empty. But the word empty still means nothing. Therefore, I will not use the word empty. I will use the word Dharma element or the word knower element instead of the word empty. Therefore, the mind is the Dharma element. The mind is the knower element. The mind is the true Dharma core. The mind is Sankhata Dharma, which is the Dharma without any additives. As for the Dharma that is Sankhata Dharma, Sankhata Dharma, it is the Dharma that has additive factors. Sankhata Dharma is citta sankhara. This citta sankhara has a duty to think. Thinking creates our ego. Thinking creates being us. Thinking creates our emotions. This is the main work of citta sankhara. Thinking creates a language. This is called the eyes. This is called the ears. This is called the nose. This is called the tongue. This is called the body. All of the language that you think or you understand are from citta sankhara. Citta sankhara is a thinker and a creator of all things. Citta sankhara is a thinker who gives value to the concrete object and the abstract object. The concrete object and the abstract object mean body and mind. Citta Sankhara is used to communicate in the human world. It is a must-have and must-use for communication in samsara. Not that you must stop thinking or stop emotions. You cannot control or deal with Citta Sankhara because Citta Sankhara is a nature no one owns. Its duty is thinking and creating emotion, followed by many causes. Don't forget that our ego is also created by Citta Sankhara. So you have to learn, you have to understand this nature by self-awareness. When we are aware and awake inside the mind, we can see this nature. After that, the mind will not focus on the outside. The mind awakens within, seeing the working of Citta Sankhara inside the mind all the time. The mind will try to understand, try to learn, try to study the working of Citta Sankhara. The mind focuses only on this nature all the time until it sees Citta Sankhara in more detail and more thoroughly. Finally, at the end of seeing Citta Sankhara, the mind will know the truth that Citta Sankhara is impermanent, suffering, and non-self. When the mind sees Citta Sankhara like this, the enlightenment level is Sodaban, Sakithakami, Anakami, and Arahant. It will have for that soul. That mind will step into the realm of being a noble one. No, we are not noble ones, but the mind is a noble one. I said that the mind is a noble one. It doesn't mean that the mind is a noble one really serious. It's just a fictional language. When the mind knows the truth, it will let go of placing its trust in Citta Sankhara. The mind will separate itself, loosen itself until to the point of breaking from Citta Sankhara. The mind will become each part from Citta Sankhara completely. Citta Sankhara has a duty to think, and the mind has a duty to know that Citta Sankhara is thinking. The mind or a natural knower will not be controlled by the power of ignorance, which is called Avidsha. The mind or a natural knower will not be dragged, not be flowed, not be branded with Citta Sankhara to make many stories. The mind or a natural knower will no longer flow with Citta Sankhara, will be separated, working in each part but working together as a lotus leaf in a water. The lotus leaf does not escape from the water. The lotus leaf is with the water, but the water cannot do anything with the lotus leaf. The water can no longer seep into the lotus leaf. Our minds will be like that. This is the core of Buddhism. Education must study down at this point, review how to study Buddhism education again. The base Dharma practice to study Buddhism education is to listen to the Dharma. There are 5 types of enlightenment. Type 1 is the best, easiest, and most convenient type. Number 1 is listening to the Dharma. The Buddha considered listening to the Dharma as the best enlightenment, suitable for very intelligent groups. The groups with moderate intelligence and the groups with low intelligence, they also require a lot of listening as well. The group with no intelligence, unable to teach, this group has not yet been mentioned. The first type of enlightenment is listening to the Dharma. This is the easiest, the best practice. Practitioners should listen to the Dharma about wisdom and the mind a lot, so that we will understand our own minds. There are 5 principles of enlightenment as mentioned a moment ago. Number 1 is listening to the Dharma. Number 2 is teaching the Dharma. As we listen to the Dharma and we remember the Dharma we have heard, if we listen to the Dharma and we cannot attain the Dharma, we try to use the teaching method. While we are teaching the Dharma, we will also understand the Dharma that we speak. Once we have understood, then we will speak. It will cause us to attain Dharma. Number 3 is about Yoniso Dharma. Yoniso Dharma, when listening and teaching the Dharma is not work, we try to consider and understand the Dharma that we have heard. Review that Dharma by yourself, rethinking again and again until you understand that Dharma. While you rethink that Dharma, you also observe your mind switch back and forth. This is called Yoniso Dharma, which is why you can attain Dharma. Number 4 is a prayer. A prayer meaning it is reciting the Dharma loudly. The Dharma that you have heard, you recite that Dharma in your own language, not to recite in the Pali language. Let's recite in your own language, a translated language. For example, you chant loudly about the 5 aggregates. You recite that all sankharas are impermanent, suffering and no self, and then you explain to expand that chant. How is impermanent? How is suffering? How is no self? It's good to recite the Dharma in your heart, and it's good to recite the Dharma by your mouth loudly. In order to teach yourself regularly, this is why you attain enlightenment. Number 5 is a matter of Dharma practice for the ignorant, one without wisdom. Number 5 is about finding peace and seclusion place. To live in that peaceful and secluded place. Then to be calm and not to be distracted. When the mind is not distracted, then listen to the Dharma again. This is the reason for attaining Dharma, which is the last point. Therefore, number 1 is the best. It's something we should do a lot, grow a lot, do a lot, listen a lot. Listen to the Dharma type of wisdom a lot. It will set us free from suffering. Whether it is suffering in the human world, whether it is suffering in samsara, it will go away completely until it becomes a noble one and until the end of an arahant is no more being born. In our Dharma study, you have to put the old knowledge that you hold on to, put them down first and put them away. Do not rely on the old knowledge that you know to compare with the Dharma that I said here. Don't compare if you are right or not. Are you wrong? It will cause you do not to understand the Dharma, and it will hinder you. It's a never-ending hesitation. Let everything go away from your heart. Be as empty as possible, as a container with nothing, and then accept the Dharma that I have said and will continue to say is a matter of wisdom and a matter of mind. Get the Dharma as much as possible for understanding one's own mind. When you understand your mind, see how your mind works, you will know for yourself that, oh, this is something that I have never known, never understood, never heard of. Oh, this is the Dharma of the Buddha. The Dharma of the Buddha is akaliko. Akaliko, which means everyone. Everyone can attain the Dharma in everywhere and every time. The enlightened person knows by the individual. Speak back to the core of Dharma. Why? Why do you have to cycle through birth and death? You have to ask this question yourself first. The understanding of the human world is that this is my body, this is my heart. We all believe that this is really my body, this is really my heart. I am a real woman, I am a real man, I am really human, I really have this name, I really have my children, I really have my wife, I really have my husband, I really have my father and my mother, I really have my car, I really have my home. We all believe and have already held this. This is Avidsha, the ignorance of the mind. The Buddha said, Avidsha paccaya sankhara, because ignorance is the cause of all sankharas, from the mind's sankhara to the body's sankhara, and including all the elements we know perceive through the sense. All of these things were created by Citta Sankhara. That is, Citta Sankhara gives the value. What is this and what is that? And Citta Sankhara gives a value that being yourself and being the owner, giving the value with ignorance that we call Avidsha. So, therefore, all humans in the world, as well as all spirits in Brahma, in heaven, in hell, including all animals, all of us are subjected to Avidsha. Avidsha is ignorance. The analogy is like seeing the laurel as a lotus flower. For example, we see that what we are doing is really right. This is ignorance. We see that we are doing is really wrong. This is ignorance. We see that what we are doing is really merit. This is ignorance. We see that what we are doing is really sin. This is ignorance. This is our body. This is our mind. This is ignorance. Including our knowledge about Buddhism is also ignorance that covers all our minds. We have to tell ourselves, remind yourself of this all the time. We should not think that we are knowledgeable, wise, and free from ignorance because of our knowledge and our standing. All of them are ignorance. We have to understand this first so that we don't fall into the presumption that we know and understand. We like to deceive ourselves that we are very listeners of the Dharma. We have studied Dharma for a long time. We have always been in the temples. We have been with enlightened teachers all the time. We know all Dharma very well. I have a question. If you really know, why are you not being an Arahant? Do you know the Dharma already? Do you see the Dharma already? Please ask yourself, are you an Arahant already? Ask yourself, are you really enlightened in the Dharma right now? Ask yourself, whoever sees the Dharma, that person sees me, Tathagata. Have these words been manifested to your mind already? If we have not yet manifested, let's not deceive ourselves. We must always tell ourselves that we are under the power of ignorance, that we are ignoring all the time. Now, let's continue our conversation about how to escape from Avidsha. Avidsha is ignorance. Remember it well. Avidsha means don't understand, lack of consciousness. Avidsha means don't know, not realize. How to escape Avidsha is don't practice mindfulness. Because mindfulness doesn't mean you don't forget or you do not be lost. No, it isn't. Forget and being lost is a symptom of the mind. It is natural for itself to be like that. It's not a matter of mindfulness. You should accept that forgetting and being lost is the nature of the mind. Next, I will not say the word being mindfulness. I will say the word being awareness instead of. This awareness is the destroyer of ignorance because we don't be aware, so we don't see the truth. When we don't see the truth, that is why our knowledge is opposite to the truth. That is Avidsha. But when we are awareness ourselves, Avidsha will be disappeared. Avidsha does not really exist. Avidsha is just a hypothetical language for us to understand the core of Dharma, which is beyond thinking language. Avidsha causes us to cycle the non-stop birth and death. But Avidsha does not really exist. It's just a language to speak for us to understand. That is how we will be freed from the cycle of birth and death. We must not have Avidsha. Not having Avidsha means being aware to know the truth. When we are being aware to know the truth already, we will start attaining enlightenment that I will continue to explain next time. Back to the core of Dharma. This body is not ours. This mind is not ours. The Buddha said that the five aggregates are impermanent, suffering, and non-self. Five aggregates refer to the concrete objects and the abstract objects. Concrete objects and abstract objects refers to the body and mind. In short, the body and mind are five aggregates. The Buddha said it's not us, it's not ours, and it's not ourself. It's not something that actually exists. It is natural to know. This is what the Buddha said, the Buddha taught. This is the core of the Dharma that we must adhere to, we must understand, and we must be able to see as the Buddha said, the Buddha taught. Otherwise, we will be dragged away by ignorance, clinging, never ending. When we understand this, now let's see how it's not our body and how it's not our mind. Because now we can see our bodies, right? And how is it not our body? If it's our real body, please tell your body that. The body, can you not be old? The body, can you not get sick? The body, can you not be dead? Can the body do as we tell it? If the body could do as we tell it, there would be no one on this planet that would get old, hurt, or die. If the truth was like this, Buddhism would not be necessary, but because the Buddha had already attained enlightenment, the truth that the body is the nature of the world. The body is arisen from the world and eventually has to be returned to the world. The body is a temporary item for us to study the Dharma, so that we can use this body and this mind to understand and study the Dharma in order to get out of the cycle of birth and death. This is the goal of true Buddhism. Finally, the conclusion of today's Dharma is: don't waste your lifetime. Don't waste your lifetime, because life must be born, must be old, must be sick, and must be dead. This body and this mind are valuable for studying Dharma. This is the only chance, the only opportunity that we can escape from the endless birth and death. So, please use every second, use every minute, use every hour, and use every day that you are alive to study the Dharma. Don't be careless with life, because there may not be tomorrow for us to make excuses. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you in the next episode. สวัสดีครับ